Hello everyone, this is the Arrow Team, as you all need to know of me. If you know my real name, then good for fucking you, but feel free not to leave it in the comment section below or anywhere else. Though I don't think it would matter, because the only people or person who should see this should be somebody who does know my real name. So that said, we're just gonna keep moving. I'm making this video with the sole purpose of sharing a match with my friend David, who is currently being a faggot and refuses to get onto StarCraft to watch it. Now, you may be thinking, what the fuck, that guy just said faggot. Well, I really don't give one. You're not going to get a Jonah Hill-esque apology out of me. Let's go then. Watch this replay solo. So, this was a match that I did just recently, just about 10 minutes ago. And it went... Well, it ended up swaying in my favor, though for a while it was pretty concerning here. As you can see, we've got a ZvZ in the prestigious Gold League. My name is called, or my opponent's name rather, is my name's Minho. Not my name, his name is my name's Minho. Alright then, so as you can see, this is me here in the upper left corner. My opponent Minho is in the lower right corner. It took him about 5 minutes to send his overlord off. That's okay, because it probably took me 6. Meanwhile, I've got my drone production going, and I'm really just at this point thinking of going a standard build. You know, all I'm really doing here is, just making drones. No cheeky stuff with a 6-pull or anything like that. No. Just a nice standard Zerg opening. My opponent here seems to be doing the same. Haven't really seen him play through this from his perspective, though I do have a general perspective from beating him of what he did. So, alright, let's just keep watching through this here. See at about 9 drones, I'm going to make an overlord. I was told by somebody that the math on that makes the mineral income come out better. I don't really know this, I just trust people because I'm an idiot like that. Alright, as you can see, our overlords are still slowly blubbering their way across the middle of the map, where eventually they will high-five each other on their way to one another's bases. Alright, and that's all very well and good. Both got our second overlords out. As you can see, I made the executive decision to leave mine in my base. It's defensive positioning. That way, if he decides to go in for some muta harass later, I'm going to put it right about there so I can have 15 seconds notice. Alright, still got, you notice at about the 12 drone mark, I decide to send my 13th drone, which we'll just ignore the shitty timing on, out to scout. Yeah, scout. Similarly, I'm thinking of taking my expo right about now, but first I think I ultimately decided to go spawning pool first. I think I'm being scouted by my opponent's drone, which is very fine. Won't find anything shady out of me, no sir, just standard play right here. Yeah, look at them drones. I'm gonna select them right now. I know it won't help my APM after the match, but it soothes me. Alright. Yeah, just spawn and pool going up, because you know you have to make military units to win in the end. Now, I'm thinking of going for my expo right about now. As you can see, I'm not taking my natural per se. I'm going for a bit of an unconventional expo location right outside of his natural. There are some rocks protecting it, so I figured being immediately next to the rocks, it offered me the utmost security. So I decided to put my expo there. All there is to it. Now, you'll notice I am also just droning up here back home. Spawning pool comes up, so I decide to I think I decided to make a spine crawl inside my mineral line in case I get any Zergling run by attempts, and I'm gonna be starting a queen here pretty soon. Like I said, standard play. Then I think I've got an overlord coming out, or at least I should, given my supply. You'll notice that he has bigger food than me at this point. This is because he hasn't expoed yet and hasn't had to cut down on drone production. But some of that is in Zergling, so our economies are just about neck and neck right now. In fact, I have more active workers than he does. Whoa. So my expo is just about finished here, and I realize that when it goes up, I'm gonna need some limited form of static defense just to make sure it's aptly fortified, as I have with my natural, or main, rather. So I decided to queue up 3 drones over there to put some crawlers down. Figured that was the best response. Similarly, I've got another drone coming up at the expo to make a crawl. You notice this expo hasn't started mining yet. You may also notice that it couldn't easily because it's not next to any mineral patches. This is a strategic move that should be pretty obvious to anyone familiar with StarCraft, so I won't explain in this video, but if you want to watch some of my other videos, I'm sure I'll get around to addressing the topic. So you can see I've got 4 more spine crawlers down, just a standard opening right here. I'm going for a bit of aggro with these spine crawlers actually. I decided to make 4 instead of 3, so I can put a bit of early pressure on my opponent. You know, just sticking to the tier 1 units for now, though, not really teching up. That comes later. Um, Notice I may use this queen to lay down a creep tumor instead of going for the inject there, because, you know, because both queens and crawlers, my units of choice in this game, are a bit slow off of creep and also can't attack. At least the crawlers can't. So I decided to lay down the creep tumor before I went for any injects. Meanwhile, back home, not really doing anything. You notice I have a lot of larvae stacked up. These are for contingencies. I've also got energy stacked up on my queen. This is not so much out of a failure to transfuse or any other form of incompetence. It's really just it's strategy. Yeah. That way, if I get the 15-second notice on that muta harass after my queen holds off all 8 of them, she might be able to transfuse the hatchery or herself if need be, so as to stop anything from dying. Meanwhile, you can see I'm tearing down these rocks that have sheltered the early stages of my expansion's development, and I am using that new opening to move out. Got queen on the high ground for some vision, and I'm planning to creep tumor down so that I can move my static units up to their next level. I was hoping I might have a natural to harass at this point, but my opponent is dumb, so I don't. Keep notice that I am indeed trying to keep at least a few of my crawlers rooted, so as to have a sturdy line of defense. My opponent's also going for crawlers. I don't know if he saw me at that point. But let's see here. I'm just gonna go with my opponent's vision. Let's see here. Alright, so at about the 6-minute 45-second mark, he has no idea what the shit's going on. I think he remains this way for most of the game. He's already got his first crawler up at this point, and I don't know when he lays the second one down. It might be in response to my... Nope, he's just putting that crawler up anyway. Going for the full wall. Zerg. Also has 19 out of 24 saturation and double gas in his main, and he's going for a macro hatch there instead of, say, an expo, which is, well, I mean, that's an interesting executive choice that you often see in games like this, probably. So I'm, now at this point he realized that something might be afoot due to the fact that there are 3 crawlers randomly appearing in his base. He doesn't seem to be responding them. Oh, hey, well, no, yeah, no real response there. Which is fine, I mean, it's not particularly unnecessary. And this is following his vision, too, so he seems to be making the executive decision to stare at it. Oh, wait, no, this isn't where his camera is. Okay, that's good. I'm just making the executive decision to stare at it, because that's my pro strat. Alright. David, in case you're watching this, you may or may not notice that this is very similar to our chosen form of gameplay, and is also just as successful. Now, in a few minutes here, I'm going to attempt what is known as a crawler rush, or a crawler charge in some countries. This is a very pro strategy that is most effective when there are fewer than 4 crawlers at your opponent's base ready to poke you to death. As you can see, I lose a few crawlers of my own, but in the end it turns out to be fine. I just sort of abort this charge, make a tactical advance to the rear, as it were, and I choose to instead set up a defensive position there. I also left my queen there to hold the enemy off while I continue on this. And you may have noticed that at some point I took this expo too as my third. It seemed like a good idea at the time, so I did it. Also, I've got 3 overlords guarding it, and that's good. You may notice my opponent has one laying on the map, and that will probably be the last thing you'll see on the map for about the duration of this game. He is currently on 1 base at full saturation. Meanwhile, I've got 2 bases here, so I'm really taking the economic advantage in this with my successful contain of him. Yes, you may not be familiar with the static defense contain, but it's basically the Zerg version of PF Rush, only so much more Gosu. Huh. You know, I didn't really notice these things, but it doesn't seem like creep is spreading there well. Is that a graphics glitch, or is that... could I actually, not put a crawler there? Question for the ages, folks. Feel free to write me a response. As you can see at this point, I noticed my opponent had Mutilus Scout. Mutalisks, some of them were harassing my Expo. So you may notice that I chose to play it safe here, as he neglected to do with his Mutalisks. And I just pulled off all my drones, made a couple extra spores, and already started remaking my spawning pool, because it was clear that he was going to snipe that. To what end, I'm not particularly sure. But he seemed to think it was a good idea, and this player is at a pretty high skill level, Gold League, so I figure there's probably some overall strategic advantage to it. He then decided to attempt to focus down my hatch, but randomly decided to move to the right instead. This was a pretty good strat, I guess. I mean, it did save him from that spore crawler and all. And you may notice that I just respond by getting my workers right on back to mining. You know, pretty standard play, Got a queen here, also storing up energy for a potential emergency transfuse. And my opponent has gone for the typical 9-crawler defensive line. It's, yeah. So you may notice at this point I've got a couple of drones just hanging out here. They were going to take an expo, but then he decided to attack them with mutas and lose everything. It was a great move. So, decided to just go for the couple of crawlers, don't even start with the expo, because it occurs to me he might just be massing up mutas friggin' full bear style, and I don't particularly want to contend with that just yet. Well, at least without a massive amounts of spore crawlers. Now, having dealt with a muta threat momentarily, I'm just macroing up. You may notice that this Ling is getting one hit off on every drone that passes by, and that's fine with me. What do I need drones for? Well, certainly not for having full health when they're mining minerals for the rest of their miserable lives, that's for sure. You may notice I've still neglected to take this, my 4th base. There's no reason for this, really. I'm just sort of spitballing there. Now, when that queen came down and I got the "your base is under attack" sign, I was actually momentarily pretty sure that I was being attacked by swarm hosts. However, I see my opponent's hesitancy to go with this strategy, as it would have been successful, and this seems to be breaking the general pattern of his strategies so far. So, as such, swarm hosts would be very inconsistent with his playstyle, and I can respect that. It is necessary for one to develop a consistent playstyle. For instance, he's going expo-less, upgrade-less, shitty unit comp. That's fine. That's a strat that I've often gone with my friend David, who should be watching this right now with me instead of making me make a fucking YouTube video about it. But you know, hey, I'm fine. I'm calm. I'm dealing with it. We're good. You may notice I have 2 crawlers in my mineral line, and that's just fucking fantastic. I don't think I ever noticed that for the duration of this game, because it's really not important to me anymore. At this point, I've got my lair tech up and got a queen coming out. This was an executive decision on my part. Holy shit, he has 1900 minerals and a lot of larvae. I don't think my opponent realizes this, but he could have overtaken me with just lings. Huh. Well, that probably would have been a bad idea anyway. You may notice that he's going for a roach warren now. He is also taking the Ventral Sax upgrade for his overlords to give him transportability. I'm not sure if he realizes that a Nidus worm would be just a bit more expensive and twice as efficient, but it's okay if he doesn't, because I respect him as a fellow player. Minos, I have taken this base now, and I am beginning to mine gas from it because I'm preparing for an impending tech swap. I've actually banked a lot of gas, so I should be focusing more on mineral strat, but I'm a dumb faggot sometimes, so that's fine. The sling is still harassing every single drone that goes by with exactly 4 points of damage, but you know, that's to be expected in rounds like this. You know, slight worker harass. It's pretty standard play from him too. His Ventral Sax upgrade is finished. You may notice that he's got a small army of roaches prepared there. Just getting ready to attack my pretty defenseless expo here. But 3 mutas too. It's not particularly interested in using them just yet. I remember, because I've got a different strat of my own that wasn't ready by the time he did attack. He made a few lings too, which he could have made exclusively, but chose not to. Now in just a minute here, it looks like he's going to be dropping those off. I actually didn't know he was up to that at the time, because I was focusing on my tech swap to mass muta. Now I realized my opponent had been contained on one base for 17 minutes of gameplay now, and therefore should have at least a dozen spore crawlers all over his fucking base. But I figured that mass mutas, if done properly, would be able to overwhelm this. I was thinking I would cap off at about 50 to 100 mutalisks, and press forward with that and see where it went. You may notice I'm doing a bit of harass with my mutalisk here. That's pretty much all that I'll do though. I'm putting upgrades out for mine. Let me just see if, no, my opponent has not made a single upgrade this entire— oh, 1-1 missile and armor attacks for ground. That was a smart move. Now, as you can see, is just continuing to make ground units and transport them over this little gap here and onto the ground below. Hoping to press my base here. Does he know about that base there yet? Yes, he does. He has sufficient scouting information at this point. Man knows, and right now he's moving out. So at this point, I was a little bit pissed off. I had 19 mutalisks when I had really planned to have at least, I don't know, 50 to 100. But deciding that I really had no option at this point, so I decided to have those mutalisks move in and attack. I noticed that he had a crucial lack of anything that could shoot up at this point, so I decided I would give it a whirl. Now at this point in the game, I was painfully aware of the fact that my opponent may have easily massed up lots of mutalisks if he had been playing smartly. Given the fact that he had been mining on one base for 20 minutes and had so far done very little. But he decided not to, so we're good, I guess. At this point, he GG'd out of the game, realizing that I had a superior strategy with my mutalisks. Yeah, which were taking out their roaches at about a rate of about 1 roach every 4 minutes. As you can see, in just 45 short minutes, I probably would have wiped out his entire army, assuming that my mutalist production ramped up exponentially. Which I think it's fair to assume it would have. Yeah. So, that said, I think we've covered all the bases in this game. You may have learned a few valuable strategies from it. Just remember the basic build. Go for an expo oversaturated with late worker timings and natural. Just make sure to immediately saturate it with poor worker build timings and poor overlord timings into an expo outside your opponent's base defended by rocks if they happen to be there. Use this expo to make a few spore crawlers or spine crawlers for defense and or a little bit of early aggro. Use it to deny the natural. If you successfully deny the opponent's natural, feel free to set up a container in his main base, or if he doesn't have spore crawlers that is rammed, feel free to push your crawlers into his main base and take him out that way. This strategy works very well in ZvZ, but can also be used in any matchup, including ZvT, ZvP, TvT, TvZ, ZvT, ZvZ, XYZ. All of them work perfectly, really. Crawlers are the best unit in the entire game, and I think they are entirely underused, so I try and incorporate strategies involving heavy crawler use into all of my videos. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share on Facebook, share on Twitter, share on Tumblr, share on Instagram, and share on any social media's website and or your grandma's living room wall. I'll see you guys next week, or maybe never at all. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.